35 to 40 minutes that we have been filling from Piastany, trying to find out what is going on. Our friends from Czechoslovakian television cut back to the studio, and they were showing a circus act, a dog act to be precise. It may have been an appropriate commentary.
I guess they figure a circus here and a circus there. What the heck? Let's let everybody see a circus.
Well, it is indeed unfortunate for the Canadian team, and those young men behind that Canadian dressing room door have to be tremendously disappointed. They had been playing a sound hockey game. They had been working hard. They had a silver medal, almost certainly. It looked as though they did have a shot at the gold medal. They are going to go home without either of those.
Well, Don, I've sat in that dressing room, and I know what the emotion's all about, and you've covered it. And you were as emotional and professional in your job doing that. But I tell you, when you're sitting back there now and they make a decision in a boardroom that affects your shot for that gold medal, where you put your heart into it, and if you're and when the game without emotion, this is an example of it just taking an extra step. You got to play it with emotion. I mean, it's not a tic-tac-toe. It's not a mechanical game. It's a team sport, and if you don't play it with feeling, you know, it's not played by robots. And you can be rest assured in there that they feel they had a shot at it. They made a great recovery from that loss to the Czechs. Give them credit. A young team that was molding, had a shot at the gold, and as you pointed out, had the silver in their hand. And now we expect that they're getting the bronze. There is some speculation that if they're thrown right out of the tournament, that Sweden moves into the bronze. That really would destroy some of those young men when they know what they've given. They've given their heart not only for the team and the country, and I don't want to really make this a mishmash about it, but it is emotional. You are representing your country, and if you don't get that feeling when they raise that flag and play that national anthem, hey, you don't have any blood pressure, I'll tell you that.
Well, we can reflect back to the performance by the Canadian team when they won the gold medal in 1982. The young players standing on the blue line in the arena, Graham Arena in Rochester, Minnesota. They didn't have a recording of "O Canada," so the players sang "O Canada." They stood in the blue line singing "O Canada," and what a proud moment that was. You were there. And then in 1985, you had the opportunity to win another gold medal in Helsinki, Finland. But you have to really feel for these young Canadian players because they rebounded from that 5-1 loss to Czechoslovakia last Monday. As a matter of fact, there were many National Hockey League scouts we were in conversation with. We felt the same way, suggesting that Canada might not win another game in the tournament after they played Poland. But they came back and played so well against the United States, Sweden, and again tonight against the Soviet Union, all for naught. Let's go down to ice level, and here's Fred Walker.
Well, Don, as I was speculating earlier, Canada will not wind up with a bronze medal. In fact, the news is even worse than that. And with me is the Director of Operations of Team Canada, Dennis McDonald. Dennis, what is the verdict?
Well, basically, the Directorate has met, and they have decided that both Canada and the Soviet Union are no longer eligible for any of the awards in the tournament, and all of their points, wins and losses, will be struck from the records, and they are now looking at the new medal winners.
This is a black mark on the eye of junior hockey.
There's no question it's a real setback, and something that is a real tragedy, I think, for hockey, not only in Canada but internationally. We had established such a good relationship over here with our style of play in the last 3 or 4 years with our national teams, and this will certainly take a lot of time to erase.
Let's just set the scenario for a moment, because you went behind closed doors with members of the International Ice Hockey Federation. What was the discussion about?
Well, basically, the recommendation right off the top was to suspend the two teams, and I guess in my heart I had somewhat the same feelings. However, in looking at the discussion itself, I felt that there was some possibility that individual penalties could have been given out in a severe fashion, and the game could have continued as it normally would at home. Certainly the people that were the key instigators in the fight around the goal net and the people that led the charge from the bench could have been dealt with, and then the game could have continued. But the rest of the people at the IHF feel that this is such a black mark on the hockey scene in Europe, and that they must, in this sense, make the penalty very, very severe, and every one of them was in agreement on that accord.
Where do you go from here? What's next now?
Well, I think we really have to evaluate what we had here from the start to the finish, and where it got off the road, where the responsibility was, and just how we can get it back on track, and what kind of leadership we need all the way through the program.
Are there likely to be other suspensions? In other words, next year's tournament?
Well, that is a possibility, because this will be discussed at the IHF meetings in Vienna, and one of the considerations would be whether the Soviets or Canada should be allowed to continue in the A pool in the next year. That was brought up, but it was not discussed at this time.
Well, we'll keep in touch. Dennis McDonald, thank you very much. Dennis McDonald, the Director of Operations of Team Canada. Now, we'll be back at the World Junior Hockey Championship in 1 minute from now.
Looking at the assistant Canadian coach, very, very disappointed. Both teams, that is Pat Burns, have been disqualified, as they should be, from this World Junior Tournament for an ugly incident, as rotten a brawl as you will ever see in hockey. You know, reacting to some of the things said in Czechoslovakia a few minutes ago, I realize these young men feel badly about this, but that's not the point. They should all be thrown out of this tournament, because the rules of international hockey are very, very clear. There is no fighting. Don Cherry's in our Toronto control studio with me.